Good morning. Welcome to episode 5 of the Arisen podcast. I'm coming to you all the way from Australia by the power of a way vessel. My name is Modangy. We've got the other host of this fine podcast being the 3-time back-to-back Orna content creator of the year, Mr. Floor 300, Mr. 11K Attack, the most attractive man in all of Scotland, Shabbash. How are you, Shabbash?
Good evening, everybody. Good morning, Dangy. I'm super hyped for this. Quick question though, I'm not sure how I managed to get triple back-to-back Orna not champion when I've not even been playing for 2 years.
It's impressive stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, not sure how I've managed that, but I'll take it. You'll never guess this. You'll never guess this, Dangy. I had a barbecue tonight, first barbecue of the year, and it rained.
Yep. Oh, classic.
Surprise, surprise. But all good, man. All good. It's
awesome.
I'm kind of orned out.
Man, there's a lot to do now, isn't there? The game today is in a different state to when you started it 2 years ago, Shabbash. There's stuff to do every single day, so getting orned out is a possibility.
It's I think for me it kicked off at Ornaversary, which was 19th was it? 19th of May. Jesus, we're halfway through the year now. Well, 19th and 20th. We had, I don't know how many people were playing, but basically the servers, when North America woke up, I don't know how it played out for you, Dangy, but my morning time during Ornaversary was super smooth, racking up the orns, firing through dungeons, and then North America woke up and the game basically crashed, and Odie had a few hours trying to get things, extra servers back up and running, and that's when the announcement went out that Ornaversary would be lasting an extra day, much to the delight of everybody, apart from the fact that pretty much everyone popped their kingdoms for the first day and couldn't really make the most of it. But temples. What can you do? It was with all those bonuses. I mean, one of the most efficient times of the year to play. So it was one that we had to get onto, right? Like, you're getting the double rewards at the end of the gauntlets. You're getting the extra orns, the extra XP, the items. Like, it was just a fantastic event. And I have the benefit of being in what Shabbash likes to call the shittest time zone in the world. So I actually didn't encounter as many issues as the rest of the world when it came to playing. And I got orned out after the first day of Ornaversary, and I couldn't pull myself to do the second day because it was just too much. Yeah, did you run out of gauntlet keys, or what was your strategy? What were you up to? Like boss mode, hard boss mode, or what?
Hard boss, hard boss. Yeah. So pretty much looked at this as the only sliver of hope that I have of getting an ONC that's an old Northern crown that's better than what I currently have. So figured the double and the gauntlet rewards being tuned up in hard gauntlets, you get the benefit that it might actually be superior, famed, legendary, or ornate. So I had to do hard mode. The reason for doing boss was just the orns and XP and all that sort of stuff was just too juicy to pass up.
Yeah, huge.
So we had our temples going for our kingdom, much like other people did. I did hard boss. I did it with shrines. I did it with bands of gods, and got an absurd amount of orns. I think in the end, my total was 50 hard boss gaunts, like on the nose, 50, which tore through 1,200 something keys. It must have been more, actually. No, I think it was about 50. But yeah, I shredded through a fair few keys. I'm down to 700, which used to not be as big of an issue, but now with boss gauntlets not giving you necessarily key positive each time, it is a little bit scary. But yeah, tore through a few.
700 keys is still quite a lot for most people, I reckon.
It'll do.
Yeah, it'll do. Well, now you just have to play other parts of the game to get keys. Can't just run boss dungeons ad infinitum.
It's really interesting because we actually, due to two recent additions content-wise, like one being these new bosses and how they are tuning the way that you receive keys in specifically tier 10 and tier 11. We have added in as a kingdom in Trolls of the Socket, Titan and Arthas. Not Arthas. What's his name? Star-Lord and Titan. We've added them both back in to help with key recuperation and one of the other topics that we have today that's based heavily around materials being required. So it's interesting. We've got them back in the kingdom with a 10% cap so that people can just get light taps into them. They don't cost too much. They drop keys. It's needed now. And now I'm actually raiding Morrigan again because I need keys.
We're doing the exact same thing with the Star-Lord and Titan, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, it kind of goes to show how valuable those are for kind of the mid-game, giving you keys, materials, decent items during that point as well. But talking about materials needed for Ascension and Cursed Ortonite, I don't know. Yeah, we'll come on to what Ascension level you've managed, but I went through 2 levels, both of which this wasn't even the worst levels I've had, but I had to give up like 600 Cursed Ortonite back to back, and yeah, it's probably equivalent to like Demon Forging, like a mid-range ornate Morrigan item. But you know, that was done straight away. To be honest, I was on a race to first to 12k attack on my Realm Shifter, which I have lost. So yeah, some other guy who's currently ascended 20 times has taken that mantle. Absolute madman.
Mr. Jeffels, perhaps?
That's the man, yeah. He's gone absolutely... Ornaversary happened, he lit a fucking huge napalm bomb under his Orna account. He's basically not stopped playing since. So he was talking about the Orns that he's earned since Ascension has come in, and it's absolutely mental. I think he's earned something like 650 million Orns or something.
That's insane.
Just like earned, spent a lot. But
that's insane.
All of this for a 20% increase to your stats. So I'm not sure, Dangy. I can't remember to the last time if we talked about Ascensions too much, or even if it was actually released yet.
It hadn't been released yet, so all the other buildings and stuff had come in. I don't think Ascensions had come in yet. Maybe it's worth just touching on it again, just lightly. If we did, we can run through it again. So essentially, there's a new building that got added into the game by Odie recently, probably, what was it, a month ago or something like that. Maybe not quite. That cost 50 million Orns. So it costs a lot.
Fuck, yeah. 50 million.
And so you're not going to be there until maybe halfway through tier 10 to tier 11. So maybe like 235 to 240, you can start considering it. But you still have to buy the other classes. And what this building allows you to do is for a material investment that's randomized. So you'll have various materials that it will ask for a certain amount of. For some Orns and some gold as well. You can ascend one time, and each ascension gives you plus 1% to your stats for that class only. Mm-hmm. So whatever class you're on at that point in time is the one that you're ascending. Be very conscious of that, because if you're on your deity for your war defense and you want to go and ascend your Gilga, you can't do it till you swapped back to your Gilga. You can only ascend one class at a time, 1% stats, huge investment. It starts to ramp up. I think the very first ascension costs somewhere in the realms of like 2.5 million Orns plus a whole heap of materials in the 400 mat range, I think, 300 to 400 mats. And then it keeps ramping up. So as you ascend more, the material cost, the Orn cost, the gold cost is higher. So I think around Ascension 5, it starts to cost about 15, 16 million Orns, and the materials are closer to your 600-700 than they are 300-400.
Yeah, I think I think there's like a base multiplier, and then there's like a range maybe plus 10, 20% either side. It can go up or down. So say, let's take, Ascension level 5 as your example there. Say the base Orns was, call it 3 million per Ascension level for easy math. So Ascension level 5, the base would be like 15 million Orns, and then you could be, 2 million Orns plus or minus if you get lucky. If you get lucky, you can spend 12 million Orns, and then the next level you can spend even less on some points.
Yeah.
And then I think when you start off, there's maybe 3 or 4 materials, and then pretty quickly you start having five different materials, and then same kind of idea. You have a base multiplier, and then you can have like a plus minus some kind of percentage. Don't know exactly what it is, but there's the materials are, well, it's all bad really. You got millions of gold, millions of Orns, and hundreds of pretty obscure materials at certain points, depending on your luck. I don't know what your worst has been, Dangy. I'm actually on a really bad one right now. I've had a couple of bad ones in the past.
My current one's tough. So this Ascension, well, tough for me, probably not for a whole chunk of people who might listen. The Ascension release coincided with the release of a brand new material, or 4 of them to be exact, that are plants. So the 4 herbs, you've got your, what is it, Mandrake, Silphium, Nightshade, and Dayleaf.
Yeah.
Yep. So it felt really rough for a whole heap of the 250s who have been playing for a really long time. They'd accrued their 600 million Orns and all this other stuff, and they have thousands upon thousands of materials. And there was that little bit of a race of who gets the highest Ascension the quickest. And some people would fly through the Ascensions because they didn't get a single plant the whole way through. Yeah. And then 1 or 2, it's made a fairly big dent on their morale because they're getting hit with 500 Silphium, which you can't get any other way except for just playing the game a lot. You have to hit heaps of mimics, do heaps of gauntlets for end rewards, or be lucky enough to pick it up by touching on a plant in the real world. So I think that's been one that's been a bit of a challenge, but I think that the intention overall is that people would have these materials by the time they're ready to start ascending, if they started playing the game the day that everything came out, right? So if you started playing the day 1 for you was with plants in the game, you'd probably have 1,500 Silphium by the time you're considering
for sure
your ascending. So it's all about balance, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think possibly by that point there might be another way to accumulate Silphium and Mandrake other than those methods that you mentioned. Basically, so for my current ascension to 13, I need 1,286 Silphium. So I'm almost there. I think I need a couple hundred more. Yeah, a couple hundred more. Yeah. So the thing is, there's two of the herbs, Nightshade and Dayleaf, you can actually buy in shops. So those are actually not too bad. You can, spend a little bit, refresh your shops. You can maybe pick up an extra 20, 30, 40 a day, or build more shops, double that value, whatever you want. But Silphium and Mandrake currently, you can't find them any other way. Refineries as well. I've got the miners working away. But that gets super tedious. Like I don't want to. There are certain days where I just don't want to even click on a refinery because it's not very fun. But
it's interesting. I think like a lot of those sort of things with the menuing, where you have to do excessive menuing just to get a material to progress in the game, can feel a little bit. Can test your patience a little bit to the point that you wonder whether it's actually worth you every day spending an hour cycling your shops until you get 50 Dayleaf or whatever your target for the day is. And same with the refineries. Refineries will require you to play a lot. And at this point in time, they're in that weird place where everyone just uses Orknite and nothing else, because Orknite drops, 1.3 materials in return for every 1 material invested, and it's one of the easiest materials to obtain.
I've run out.
You've run out, so you're refining every day because you need this Silphium.
I mean, the thing is, I think I just have, I think you got to put it into perspective. Like this is like the endest of the end game.
That's
stat
right.
improvement on your character, on your class, not even just your character, like, literally on one class at a time. So really,
that's right. Yep.
And it's only been out for 1 month, actually, just around a month. So in terms of the grind factor compared to the rest of like the end game, call it, give it some time, and as you said, a bit of patience, and you can cash in slowly.
I think one of the really interesting things as well, from my perspective, Shabbash, is that you can actually play the entire game without ascending anyway. There's nothing that says that you need to ascend to play the game. The only reason that any sort of frustration comes into it is purely from that standpoint of, I see what my peers have and I can't obtain that because of randomly generated numbers. So it's a little bit frustrating for some people who have poured their heart and soul into this game because they're playing hours and hours and hours. But on the grand scheme of things, it's actually not that large of an issue because they'll still be able to do the big boy numbers if they want to. And a lot of the classes don't actually benefit heaps from Ascensions anyway, especially up until Ascension level 10, which historically we all used to play with an alt sitting there for party buff anyway, which gave us 10% stats. And now most of us have given that up because maintaining party buff is actually really frustrating. So before Ascension level 10, you're not actually really any better off than you were. I know that HP and mana go up, but only at this stage, only mana's affecting ward. So overall, it's not as large a difference as you think. I think for some of the classes like Realm, which is what you're focused on, because the attack's so high, plus 1% repeatedly does
a lot,
help.
With Swash specifically.
Well, that because it's amplified even further. But for classes like, and I'm ascending Gilgamesh because it's just a class I play the most, and it doesn't get that huge of a buff.
I mean, surely this HP not affecting the new HP that you gained by ascending is currently not affecting ward, right? I mean, surely this is a bug.
I'm not sure if it is a bug or if it's intended. I can't quite work that out. I think my initial gut reaction was that it was a bug, because it seems somewhat unfair that mana from a heretic can affect its ward, but HP from Bayo and Gilgamesh doesn't affect their ward. That hurts Beowulf even more because it's not getting much out of Ascensions at all. Its pet stats don't go up, its class stats do, but it doesn't have any class passives that increase its stats, so really those benefits are pretty minor. I initially thought that ward would go up, but there's a fair few items now that give you plus HP with the like Phoenix gear and you've got the random bone shield, you've got those feral swords, there's a whole heap of stuff, and the greater bullseyes that came with the Ceres event. The base HP on them is a lot higher than Immortal gems, which were the previous ones that we used. So your HP can actually get pretty gaudy, and I don't know whether it was maybe a consideration that it would tweak ward a little bit too high. That being said, it seems like we're sort of starting to go in a direction where we're starting to get into pretty ridiculous numbers overall, and I, for one, am okay with having a lot of fun with the game at the very end. So, who knows? Maybe that will be looked at. But Ascensions have been in for a little bit. People have made some comments in that bug reports channel on the Discord, the main Discord, about HP not affecting ward, and it's not been acknowledged. So I don't know whether that one, I don't think it's been acknowledged. I shouldn't say it's not been acknowledged because Odie might have, but not that I've seen.
All right, we'll keep that one in our pockets for the going forward. I mean, for me it makes sense. In the end game, you are kind of pushing your stats anyway over months and months and months. So increasing HP. To be honest, like increasing HP, because Gilga has such a high HP base. I mean, Bayo as well. Like increasing the HP by a couple hundred. It's not relatively. It's not really increasing not going to increase your reward that much. But all right, let's see what happens.
So I'm ascending Gilgamesh.
Okay.
And I'm only at Ascension level 6 currently. I only hit 250 a couple of months ago though, so I haven't quite got the same levels of a material and Orna accrual as some of my buddies. I'm also, I feel like, in less of a rush than the rest of the world. I'm just playing it. Man, I play this game for fun, right? I don't need the extra stress of trying to chase down things every single day. I've got a kid, I've got a job, I've got all this stuff, so I just play it as I can. My current Ascension, I did get stuck though because I needed Greater Souls.
Oh, wow,
I needed nearly 700 Greater Souls, which actually wasn't an issue, but I recently... And I hope the world can celebrate with me because it's the luck of the Arisen podcast. If you come on the Arisen podcast, you will get good items. This is how it works. So I got a 200% Ashen Phoenix chest piece for Gilgamesh. And then I got a 193 Ashen Phoenix leg piece with Earth element on it.
The element.
For Gilgamesh. Yeah. And I got a legendary Fey Yeti coat. And I got a low roll Ashen Phoenix headpiece for Gilgamesh, all within the space of about 2 weeks.
Jesus. The legs, for me, the legs, and okay, we'll talk about a new pair of leggings later on, but the Ashen Phoenix legs and the Fey Yeti coat. Interesting, does the Fey Yeti coat, even though it's legendary, does that give you more ward than an Arisen Starters? I don't know if you have a decent Arisen Starters chest.
So I've got a Godforged Arisen Starters chest, and it's a 191. So it's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sitting at 57% ward. Interestingly enough, and this is to maybe help address that question that comes up every time somebody posts their legendary or ornate Fey Yeti coat and goes, it doesn't seem too good, and then the rest of the world yells at them. This is why HP and mana goes into the ward calculation. Even though the Fey Yeti coat for me is a legendary with 2% gems, I think at Master Forge gets around like 41% ward, something like that. And that's about equivalent to my Serta chest when you do the math with the inclusion of the HP and the mana, especially when you use jewels that give you HP and mana as well. The really interesting thing about the Fey Yeti coat is it gives you all these other other things as well. Mana is huge for a lot of classes. So if you're playing Realm Shifter, Shabbash, when you're not doing Swash, which might be 1% of the time, but the rest of the time,
more often than you think.
There you go. So Fey Yeti coat is your ideal chest piece. If you're a Realm Shifter, that's the chest piece that you want. It gives you two things that are really, really fantastic. Freeze protection.
Yeah.
Thank God that got added to the Fey Yeti coat. That is awesome. And it gives you the mana. The mana's massive. But then there's other little things that are just sort of interesting. Like it gives you resistance down protection. It reduces the attacks, the ultimate attacks from raid bosses, which is just a weird plus for the already best chest piece in the game. But the Fey Yeti coat can be used on every single class.
Yeah.
Like this thing, it might be the best item in the game. I'm not sure. Between that and maybe Ornate ONC, I don't know.
I think it's up there for sure. It's up there. Ever since it's come out, even before, originally it didn't have the frozen protection on it. And even before then, it was probably my number one chase item. To be completely honest with you, I've had a superior one. That's my best one so far. Actually, I got a famed one on my ult, literally from the first one I killed, but nothing better since then. So
really, there you go.
Pretty crazy drops for you, man.
And it's a tier 9 item. It's insane.
Exactly,
such a good item. And Gobi, it can be used for Swatch. You just don't want like a legendary or an ornate or something like that. It's
superior ones,
a bit interesting. Yeah. But that item's so cool, man. So I got the legendary, and I actually don't even have enough Greater Souls to Master Forge that because I've Demon Forged my Ashen gear I just ended up using a whole heap of Greater Souls on different stuff, and now I need 700 for my Ascension as well. So I needed that. I need Nightshade, and I need Solarite, all on the same Ascension. And I've just finished Master Forging like my Serta swords for View Distance, which used a heap of Solarite. Yeah, so man, it's cool though, because this means I have to keep playing the game. I like those sort of things that make me have to keep playing the game. If we didn't have Ascensions, there's probably a chance that I would have given the game a lot less attention every single day.
It's good to have things to do, and but I think that going back to what you said like 10 minutes ago, not treating it, you're not a leaderboard junkie, right? Modangy, I think we can clear that up, and you don't have to be to play the game. And you don't have to be to basically complete anything in the game, you know. There's new things coming for sure, but you're not gonna. You don't need to be top 100 on the global leaderboard to take down Arisen Morrigan or whatever, you know. It's play at your own pace. If you do want to hit up the leaderboards, I think quests are your best option. Kill those daily gulls. That'll fling you up there, but it's not going to help you killing Arisen Morrigan. So
that's it.
So by the way, guys, quick interlude here. I've actually got like a live band playing in my flat, so I'm sorry if there's any background noise that you guys can hear. Just that's what the noise is in the background.
I saw the comment and I naturally assumed it was me because I have all the tech problems in the world. I'm like, don't tell me. Don't tell me this stuff is fucked up again. I can't hear it, Shabbash, so it mustn't be that loud.
You're missing out, man.
Yeah.
So, awesome. So, I mean, my current Ascension, basically I need, by the way, for me to get the first 12k attack, well, now second 12k attack, I had to either Godforge 2 items and 1 Ascension, or 2 more Ascensions. So right now I'm at Ascension level 12. To get to 13, I need, what do I need? 27,000 Orns, 1 billion gold, 1,000 Ancient Stone, the Silphium that we talked about earlier, 1,286 of that, 1,175 Iron, 738 Firestone, 1,100 Perfect Balder, and 843 Lionite. So that is 6 different materials there. Apart from the Silphium, I'm pretty happy with the rest of it. Greater Souls that you're missing, I mean, a lot of the world raids require Greater Souls, and it's kind of like crept in as like the end game material almost, because you've got Arisen Morrigan, which has Cursed Ortonite. Well, Cursed Ortonite, of course, tier 10 end game material, but Greater Soul as well. For me, I'm gonna plug Swash. Usually manage to get a Swash plug in every episode, but
have you started playing Swash? Have you? That's new.
Yeah. I mean, what I've found is that you can actually fly through the arena, and as long as you put on auto dismantle, you can come out after 10 minutes with an increased amount of Greater Souls. It's quite good. Maybe you should try it one time.
I've had that hit me every single time. If this is one of the issues with being in a community of the most sweaty grinders that exist. Is like if you dare complain about a material, they'll educate you as to how you could go about getting that material.
Oh, that's true.
So I've done a fair bit of arena. I got down to, I think it was 10 Greater Souls after I got everything like Master Forge, Demon Forge, because I had to grind it to get that stuff done, and I'm back up to like 300 and something just because I'm trying to hit arena. It's not as Greater Souls positive as you might be surprised to find out, though. If you sit there and do it for hours, it doesn't just net you thousands of Greater Souls. You have to actually do it a fair bit. I think the best way is to do the combo of that plus your world raids. Yeah,
at least try and get tags on your Kingdom Mates world raids. All the horsemen as well. All the lower raids there are super good. Yeah. Just like one tag, and you can probably pick up a couple of Greater Souls now and then. Greater Souls, I'm sitting on 4,800 right now. Not too bad.
Oh yeah, I was. It's all gone, but I can't complain, man. Like that Ash and Phoenix gear is a good get.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I'm stoked. So yeah, Ascensions, man. It's a cool thing. It's gonna extend the game life for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving people considerations as to how they spend their materials now as well, which is an interesting side effect. So we'll see whether people feel a little bit more restricted in how they can be freedom-wise with regard to gear. It's funny you rattling off the materials, and I was thinking about somebody who might come through and hit tier 10, and you're like, oh, it's only 900 Firestone and whatever. I'm like, oh, those guys, it's going to take them a bit to actually rack up a heap of this stuff. If they've demon forged their Arisen Vulcan's longsword or their normal Vulcan's longsword along the way, they won't have those Firestone just sitting there. So they're going to have to play the game heaps. And I really like that there's that inclusion in there that you can just keep going afterwards. So I think a big part of the consideration in implementation is not the guys that have been sitting at ranks 1 to 100 even for the last year. It's probably the people who are starting the game from today, and how are they going to get the most enjoyment long term.
Gives them something to aim for as well. I think that's good. It's like a nice long slow burning fire which you can keep chucking some coal on, keep it going, keep the game going. Slow, it is slow power increase. But if you get to, as you said, if you get to Ascension level 10 on your class, it turns into a pretty decent buff actually, which something that we've been playing with, as you said, Origin Town bonus, party bonus. So why not? If you can get that, if you want to push those numbers as high as you can, and I mean, I like it. I like it, Danny. 50 million orns.
I love it.
Build an altar. I completely forgot about those 50 million orns to actually build the thing.
I know, it's one of the recommendations, because people actually ask now, they're coming through and they're like, do I get my next class or do I aim for ascending this class? And my stock standard answer to that is just get the other classes, because if you're going to spend 50 million plus the 2 to 4 for Ascension level 1, you're spending 54 million for plus 1% stats to one class. Yeah. Meanwhile, you buy another class, you get every skill that class comes with, and you can play something different when you get bored one day. 50 million orms is no joke, even for the guys who are, fully kitted out, got all their, got forged everything and can go to endless floor 250, 300 every time without hassle. It's still a lot of orms, right? So, I'd say go for your classes first. There might be a couple of exceptions in there because you could have a big argument about whether deity is useful outside of maybe war defense if you don't have the right gear for it. But still, I'd push people for classes first because you won't regret that. That'll be done.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then you can start on your ascensions.
You always have the classes. You can try a different build out. As you pick up gear for the different classes, maybe you want to try out Heretic, whatever, absolutely. And then, by the time that you built up all of these orns, you might have a preferred class, and maybe it wasn't the one you were originally playing. So now you can focus on getting those first few ascension levels on your new favorite class. And
yes,
yeah, cool.
It's awesome, man. Shall we move on to the next topic?
Did we forget a topic there? Is it worth talking about this topic? This All right. This okay. This was actually pretty cool. What is that? Is that your breakfast? Fucking energy drink breakfast, man. Where's your?
So the thing is, right? I had a really difficult decision to make this morning. I'm like, I am so tired. I woke up early enough that my 4-year-old son wasn't awake yet to do this podcast because Gobi was complaining too much that we made it too late for him. So, we have to work around Gobi. You know how it is, Shabbash. So I had a decision to make. Do I have a coffee to wake me up or do I grab one of these things, which is V energy drink? And my issue with coffee, I don't know if the rest of the world faces this issue, but it makes me need to shit. So I can't have coffee while I'm doing a podcast.
This is what you get when you have a podcast with someone from Australia. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, that wasn't quite the topic I was leaning on, but
right. Yeah. Sorry.
This one is slightly less memorable, I would say.
Go ahead.
In my opinion. So during the month of May, we had another event, the Dioscuri event, which was actually quite interesting. For me personally, as a predominantly end game player, there wasn't so much in it on the event side from the items, from the raids. I didn't pay too much attention to the new mechanic. There was a new mechanic there, which is actually pretty cool. Also, I don't know about you, Dangy, but my favorite thing about the Dioscuri event was the sprite pack.
Oh man, those sprites are cool. There's the double axe one.
Yeah, double.
That I bought and I promptly equipped it to my realm shifter. Got super excited, jumped into Arena and saw that like 90% of the world had equipped it on day one because it was a very cool sprite. Yeah, I liked those sprites for sure.
The sprites were awesome. I don't know if you had much experience with the actual world raid. Comment from Strad in the chat there. Seeing the world bosses, the actual event, world bosses, Pollux and Caster, that was super cool actually. Seeing them in the world and also in dungeons as well. Saw Pollux quite a lot. I actually picked up something like 4 or 5 ornate Dioscuri rings.
Whoa, that many?
Yeah. I mean, I killed Pollux a lot, last month.
Yeah.
So
I think this is an interesting one because like for us it's a little bit less interesting because we don't get a whole heap out of it at the high tier. But this is actually a fantastic event for low tier players. There's a couple of items that these guys dropped which were useful, but those Dioscuri rings that you're talking about, like the mage ones, they're brilliant. Like they're really good rings for lower tiers.
So they're up to 200 plus 200 magic. Tier 5.
And what? Tier 5. That's insane.
It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Can't be worn by mages, but
but you can wear it if you're, say, like one of the gods, like if you're playing Ifrit or something like that.
Yep. Or the hybrid class.
Yeah. Or so you so a DK could wear that.
Yeah.
Man, they're cool rings. They're good rings.
Oh, they're cool.
Yeah. I agree with Strad there. The bosses seeing them about were a bit of a nostalgia point for me, so it's nice seeing them about. I love the design of those bosses in particular, like really cool looking bosses. So outside of that, wasn't a hugely interesting event to me. I was mega thankful for it though, Shabbash. I have to say, after Ceres, I needed some sort of break because I smashed world raids all month with Ceres, and I needed to not have to focus on getting something from a world raid boss or a kingdom raid for the month. I did get at least one of each of the hybrid rings because they're a new mechanic as well, or not necessarily new mechanic, but bringing in a class mechanic into a ring. So I got a couple of those.
Yeah,
and then
the percentage, hybrid percentage.
Yeah, so your attack increases magic and vice versa, which is kind of interesting because you can actually use it to increase your attack a fair bit using something like a crow song, which is split stat weapon. So I played around with that a little bit to try to get verse working on Beowulf, which was semi-successful in Arena. Like you could use it, but it wasn't. I mean, when we've got things like Swash or Ultima that exist, verse just didn't quite cut it.
That's funny. How much damage were you getting out of verse?
I think it was like 30k at peak sort of thing, but this is wearing like Crow Song, it's Demon Forged Arisen Fae Crow Song as well, so
that turn one
decent. But I think so, yeah. No, it mustn't have been turn 1. I didn't give it a lot of attention because it was not nearly as quick as the other stuff. It must have been turn 2 using a mimic and...
All right.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting, but it wouldn't catch anyone off guard and they'd kill you turn 1 anyway, so it wasn't worth investing heaps in. But those rings will be interesting potentially one day, I don't know. But the event as a whole.
Yeah, good to pick a couple of them up.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Do you think Verse should crit?
Oh, God. You know what? I think that Beowulf should be playable without relying on pets in some way. I'd be really interested to see if you could get Verse to work if it did crit, right? But I wonder if it needs to be working in a way that's similar to, say, you know how Spiked Shield is very specifically a Gilga skill now?
Gilgamesh, yeah.
Maybe Verse needs to be tweaked a little bit in a way that it's very specifically a Beowulf skill, so Beowulf can use it really effectively, and then that way it can start to come away from using Tamer all the time. Maybe it leans into something else. I'd love to see some of that happen with some of the classes in general. Like, I want Realm Strikes to be way better on Realm Shifter than it is on everything else. Like, maybe it misses less.
Or doesn't miss at all.
Yeah, or doesn't miss.
Or at least doesn't have the innate miss chance on it.
Oh, man. Realm Strikes having an innate miss chance and costing 180 mana on the most mana poor class there is, it's a brutal one when you've got Swordplay and Warriors Purveying that exist. But, you know, there's a recent change that makes Realm Strikes better. Not the best yet, though. But yes, I think if Verse could crit, that'd be really interesting. It would be really interesting.
I think what you were saying there, like maybe if it could only crit on Beowulf, or something like that would be cool. Because Beowulf has the critical strikes class passive,
it does.
so it's clearly and recharge, so it's clearly a crit-based class. And as you said, you don't see many non-tamer Beowulfs hanging around. Funnily enough, I kind of asked that question to lead into our next topic, which is based around the recent crit changes. But verse 3, I've kind of given it a second thought after I've been taking a few verse 3s to the face from a few fallen Beowulfs in dungeons. Some of the damage coming out of that it's ended quite a few of my dungeon runs over the last month or so, and it actually caused me to go and have a look at verse 3 and have a think, saying, if this boss is doing this much damage to me, surely I must be able to use this. And I found a good use for it. It does involve Beowulf, but it also involves Swashbuckler. So that's
what I was using it on, I think, because the Crow Song increases your magic, which increases your attack.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the ideal weapons are Fey Crow Songs, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Get some insane hybrid numbers there. But the really cool thing is, you go Bayo Swash, so you're predominantly an attack-based build. But Verse is a spell, so you're actually doing magic damage, right? It takes its power from both your attack and your magic stat, but it goes against your opponent's resistance. So what I did is take Verse 3, and then I think I used Realm Strikes, but let's say you take Verse 3 and you have an attack-based attack. And you can use one or the other. Suddenly you're a hard hitting mage with verse 3, or you're actually a swashbuckler, a real swashbuckler using Realm Strikes or something like that.
So that was sort of the thought that I had. It's an interesting one. The only thing that's rough about that is that you can't withstand a single hit, or you can because you've got a little bit higher HP, but you've got no dex as Beowulf. You've got no defense as Swashbuckler. So it's very much a big bomb.
You can block sometimes.
Okay. Yep.
If you like RNG, you can block. It's like second chance.
I had this class that I used to use it all the time, and I've gone away from it because I've been focused on. I'm trying to main Gilga. This is what Essentials have done. They're making me try to use the exact same class, and if I can, same spec for every single part of the game, so I can sit there on defenses and all that. But I used to use Deity Charmer for a similar sort of concept. Okay. I used Charmer because I used a Fey Crow song that had attack and magic, and it got proficiency that way. And then I had Warrior's Pavane as my attack, and I had like Ultima as my magic one.
Yep. Cool.
And that was actually surprisingly effective because you can use that, and then you can put 3 Fey pieces on and like an Arisen Surtur shield, and you're a fucking tank on top of it all. So you can't die that easily, and you can output a decent amount of damage. So it's a bit of an interesting one.
I like it.
But anyway, the changes.
Right. So we definitely talked about crit last time, or in a previous episode, and you were playing around with it. You spent all of April, I believe, taking down Ferocious Ceres, the world raid, to get some absolutely mental gems, adornments, Ferocious Eyes.
Yeah.
And but Dangy, we've been chatting since that month, and we've been chatting with a few other people, and this came about when the crit changes. Before, crit could only affect the attack button. Literally, you had any increases to crit on your gear. You used Wormsong to increase crit in battle. These only ever affected your attack button. Not so useful for mages, and not really useful for anyone, really.
That's right.
I honestly couldn't name you maybe one person who was kind of trying to use that before the crit changes came in. Then the crit changes came in. Now crit chance could affect any skill which could crit. Not all skills can crit, but it's now more than the attack button that these crit changes affect. However, Dangy, you did a lot of extensive testing, and you were never really sure how much crit chance you actually had, because yes, you can count the crit chance from your gear. You're putting adornments in your gear. You can literally count. Okay, I've got 60% crit chance coming from my gear. But when you were actually testing these, the numbers were not really matching, right? Maybe you can go into that a little bit of detail, and then you can lead us into what we believe is maybe a final change, or now crit is kind of working as expected this week.
Yeah, that's right. So, crit changes, really big deal, excited a lot of people, and some of us went a little bit psychotic and started to try and really lean into it. So, myself, I've been trying to accrue Ashen Pinions for some time, which is an adornment from the World Raid, Ashen Phoenix, and this pinion gives you plus 4% crit on top of a whole heap of other stats, which is a really interesting adornment because it drops at its common level. It drops your attack, defense, resistance, everything by 40, which is huge. Like dropping your attack and magic by 40 is actually fairly substantial. And it gives you 1% ward, which is interesting. And now you start to think about, like, is this gem useful? And then it gives you 4% crit. And previously we're like, okay, who cares? I'm not going to build. I'm going to make a whole build based around the attack button when this gem drops my attack. Yeah. That doesn't make sense. So I'm not going to invest in it. And then we had this change, and I'm like, oh, this is good. We can start to play around with a couple of skills that crit. And one of them, to me, I think I mentioned it on this podcast, is I was really heavily focused on making Realm Strikes work as a raiding skill, because at the moment, or previously, Realm Strikes didn't stack up to Swordplay or to Warrior's Pavane. One, because the damage wasn't that outstanding unless it crit, but it didn't crit that often. And the other thing was it had mischance and it had that high mana. But this was a huge change, because I'm like, okay, if I can control how much Realm Strikes crits, then I can actually make it theoretically output more damage than Swordplay does. And then I'm not forced to use Charmer with Realm Shifter, or I can consider raiding with Gilgamesh Cataphract. That is in a bit of a different way where I don't have to build huge ward and use Spike Shield. So it was just an interesting concept. I went really hardcore into adorning my gear with Ashen Pinions, and I couldn't get this thing to work in a way that made sense. I was just getting really frustrated because at one point I had my crit on my Gilgamesh all the way up to 96% on gear. I'd fully adorned a God-forged Avalon crown. I'd adorned Serta's chest. I'd kept on extracting and readorning until I could get high crit. And man, it was like sometimes I'd be in a gauntlet and 7 attacks in a row wouldn't crit. And I'm like, this just doesn't work. This is like using Worm Song and it's just not working. So I got really frustrated. I've spent now on record as 60 billion gold trying to extract and readorn to get crit working. And then there was, the advent of the ferocious eyes, which came with Ceres, the boss. The World Raid boss specifically had a weapon adornment that gave 4% crit. So naturally I went insane. I think I went through about 250 World Raid bosses at my own house that month. Plus, with the introduction of wave vessels, got some mates give me little taps on theirs, which was nice. I went a bit hardcore into it, and then it wasn't working. I was so frustrated with it that I ended up just like extracting a heap of stuff and just sort of partially giving up on it. But then Shabbash this week, Odie made a confirmation in the debate channel of the main Discord that the crit cap now is 100%. And everything's changed. Oh my goodness. Have you played with it much?
Yeah, I've been playing with it. So what I did, I had my crit gems on my Realm Strikes build, my Realm Shifter. And it was, to be honest, it was on Realm Shifter, on Swash specifically, it was pretty bonkers, to be honest. And that was before this week, so I've not actually tried it this week. Yeah. But then I switched. I didn't get as many ferocious eyes as you, so I can probably... Well, really, I can only have one crit build going at once. So I switched everything to my Spike Shield build, Gilgamesh. Similar idea to, I think, what you're going with. And, loved it. I don't have...
It's good fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have... I don't know exactly what my crit chance is, but it's enough. And with Spike Shield, it's kind of like it's quite an easy gameplay loop. You go through your Divine Bastion, you go through Daephic Channel if you want, but seeing those crits are, they're heavy. I mean, I'm on a normal raid. If I buff up everything, like without using mushrooms of any kind, like my typical crit is like 700-800k, something like this. And then you can go crit,
should be high.
crit, which is what you do. Maybe you crit again, and then you use Divine Bastion, and then you go Spike Shield, bang, bang, bang. So you like deplete your ward. To be honest, that's not how I was doing it before. I was using Ward of Light after I was using Spike Shield twice, then Ward of Light, if my Daephic Channel was still up. But then I saw... You sent me a video which was super cool. You're just going Spike Shield, Spike Shield, Spike Shield, Spike Shield. Like 4 crits in a row. Bang, 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 bang. Then Divine Bastion.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bang. Divine Bastion. And
it's faster. Yeah.
You look up and then you've done like 3 or 4 million damage. Like it was super fast.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Like my specific build at the moment, I've got a little bit of a head start on everyone if we're talking about specifically this week, because I think this week with that change, people are going to lean into it a little bit heavier now.
Yeah.
People are probably a little bit adverse to leaning into something that they just couldn't understand what was going on. Meanwhile, I was going psycho, just trying to get it working.
Still recovering.
So I'm actually probably set up pretty well right now that when that changed, I'm good to go. But I also have Ashen Phoenix gear. Like I said, I have a 200% Ashen Phoenix chest, 193 set of legs. And what's interesting with this is that it can work for very specific gear if you get it at the end and you need heaps of ashen pinions and whatever. It'll take ages for somebody to build that. It won't be something that they'll get working immediately. And for us, we can smash it out because we've got high ward. So for me, the build that you were talking about, I think it only sits at like, I actually tweaked it yesterday, so I've got 120k ward on it. But the one that I sent you, I think only had 100k ward, which I'm saying only. For some people listening, they might go, oh my God, that's so much. There are builds out there, and one of mine gets over 140k. There are builds out there that are much higher than that. This one, though, out damages them for raids specifically, because once you're fully buffed up, you can just crit, and then, you know, get your ward back. Like you said, I actually use Divine Bastion when I'm close to 30k ward, and then I do it. I don't use Divine Bastion any earlier, because then you're playing the lottery game with DC running out. I just smash it out while it's there.
While it's there,
and it's good fun, man. It's still not like, even that, you know, Spike Shield becoming really good, and it's fantastic now. It's starting to be possible to have it a competitive offensive PvP build. Like Gilgamesh was 100%. Sort of historically being a little bit of a staller, trying to like stall people, make it a slow fight and eventually kill them. Now we can do it a little bit different, where it's a bit more offensive, and that's fun. For Endless, it's really cool being able to go through on crit, and it is for everyone else who uses Ultima as well. Like, Ultima just got better, and the best skill in the game just got even better, which is insane.
It needed a buff.
Sorry?
It needed a buff.
Oh yeah, I know. Ultima, man, just needs a way. I think, is it Proxys Julia? I can't ever pronounce that properly.
Oh, yeah.
Sent a video yesterday getting to 250 using, I think, Sequencer and Ultima, just sitting there, just tapping Ultima every single skill and killing everything, which is crazy. But yeah, man, with this sort of stuff, I really like this change because it makes the game more fun. This just gives people ways to, you know, go about making different builds that are really, really fun, and it affects everyone equally.
Yep.
So there's no one that gets huge benefit from this versus other classes, except for maybe Beowulf. You think like, oh, that's not gotten a big change there, but Beowulf's already god tier at the moment across the whole game. And once we get verse working as a crit skill for Beowulf, maybe it does become a lot better. But these crit changes, dude, like I'm stoked with it. Absolutely stoked. I still haven't managed to get. You said that Realm Strikes was good. It's good for PvP for Realm, I think. But if you stack it up against Ultima or Spike Shield as our other, and we use capstone skill or whatever, Realm Strikes damage currently doesn't quite get as high or as fast in my experience. I don't know if you've managed to get it working in a way that you can get it as consistently fast or high as Ultima or Spike Shield. But if the theoretical Realm Shifter changes that ODTs, what was a month ago or something, come through, it might become really cool.
I mean, if we talk about PvP specifically, if you want to use Realm Strikes, you know, in tier 10, firstly, you have to be a swashbuckler. Because the penetration is super low.
That's right.
Actually, what I really like with these crit changes is sortie for PvP, because you actually have a decent amount of penetration, much higher than Realm Strikes anyway, and you've got that base pretty high base crit chance as well. So, and it's a one turn skill. It can hit pretty hard. It used to be, the AI likes to spam it as well. So on defense, you can almost bank on that being your go-to skill, if you like. What else? Going back on what you said, I mean, I used it a bit on raids, and I am talking from a point of view. I'm not bigging myself up, but the amount of attack I have been using with Realm Strikes is quite high, and to raid Morrigan as like a Realm Swash, you need fairly specific pieces of gear, and you need a little bit of HP to kind of survive those big hits. The other thing is, because Dang, you are probably in a similar position in your kingdom, but in our kingdom we have quite low raid caps. So I'm not looking to do five's probably low for quite a lot of people. I'm not looking to do 10 million damage every time I start a raid. I'm looking to do 2 million, 3 million damage in as little time as possible. If I'm not even just tagging, doing one hit and getting out of there. So I found with Realm Shifter, with the extra crit damage that class gets, similar to Heretic, if I got a lucky run and Realm Strikes didn't miss, I mean I'm hitting cap pretty fast, like not much faster, but definitely faster than Gilgamesh. Because I don't need to buff so much as Gilgamesh, and you don't need to manage ward. You can just attack really, and maybe use a mana potion after.
That's where it's really, really cool with the synergy with Realm Shifter, I think, because it keeps your health topped up as well, so you don't have to use like an Osmo or something during. The mischance is brutal for Realm Strikes. That can actually destroy you sometimes. Sortie is so cool, man. Sortie just became, probably to me, at least like an A tier gauntlet skill.
Oh yeah.
It makes gauntlets just a breeze. Like I was using volley builds sometimes, or Spike Shield 1 builds sometimes for gauntlets. Spike Shield 1, by the way, I think the world has overlooked Spike Shield 1 for a while. Spike Shield 1 is an amazing skill now. It's even better than it was. It was already great, but now Spike Shield 1 might be one of the best skills that exist in the entire game.
That's awesome, man. So you are using it with Worm Song, buff your crit, and then you just use Spike Shield 1. Don't lose that much mana, I guess, hardly any mana, and you can probably one-shot everything in a dungeon.
I did an endless recently. I did a hard endless.
Endless, right. No
items. No items. And I died to something really dumb at floor. I think it was like 151 or something. It was a Berserk Balor gateway that was using Nightmare repeatedly, and I'd forgotten to put on Dark Resistance because I'm a moron. I just haven't done Endless recently enough to remember all the stuff I need to do. But I was using Spike Shield 1, and it just got through everything. Just, it's doing 90k, 100k, and just tearing through the world, because it doesn't have the same limitations with penetration that a lot of the normal attack based skills 100%. Have. It's just
Polylegs would have saved you.
Sorry?
Polylegs would have saved you.
What would have saved me?
Apollyon legs. They have. They all have dark resistance.
Yeah. Well, I just needed to use bloody Ward of Valor or whatever at the start. I've just forgotten my setup, so I've done that more recently, and I got to floor 250 something using just Spike Shield, but that wasn't a hard mode one. And Spike Shield 1 was the primary skill that you use. Just like you said, it's lower mana than Spike Shield 3. Spike Shield 3 is an overkill in the majority of instances, and it guts your ward as well. So you just sit there. And what's really interesting is if you have Orichalcum Golem on and you have a high enough base ward and Cataphract on with Gilgamesh, if you use Spike Shield 1, you can go positive in ward for a turn.
That's awesome, actually. Yeah, I've not done that, but that sounds like it would work and be pretty fucking good.
It's so fun. But you just got to remember diffuse ward in the skills, because if you were doing a hard mode one and you went below, although Gilga's cool, you can sit there and defend and eventually get your mana back that way. But man, it's so cool. And I got to Spike Shield accidentally because of Sortie. Sortie is, to me, top tier gauntlet clearing skill now because of a couple of reasons. One, it's just a high penetration attack one that can crit. So if you have a decent Realm Shifter build with a decent amount of crit, you use Wormsong, you'll just sit there hitting crit after crit after crit, which keeps your HP and your mana full.
Yeah.
It only costs 40 mana, which is just brilliant. But it also gives you one ward turn, which is like the overlooked element of Swordy. So if you've got your ward set up at the start, just hit Swordy. You'll never run out of mana. You'll never run out of ward. You'll never run out of HP.
I use it on Realm. Literally right now, I'm trying to Godforge stuff on my Realm Shifter and my Gilgamesh. Swordy is it's on my hot skill. It's like the number one.
Yeah.
I'm not using caster mode anymore, so you can have one skill on the which shows up automatically. Yeah, this is like my number one skill, which I'm using. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, for my Realm Seeker, it is also. I've still got to get. I got to get Realm working well enough that I can reliably not just randomly die some Gauntlet because I still do. I still randomly die.
Yeah, me too.
If I happen to miss and something hits me hard enough, I die.
If you're not running with wards, decent amount of wards. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to Godforge a couple of swash pieces, so I'm not running any ward on the Realm Shifter. So yeah, I will rip one dungeon every, I don't know, 10 or 15 or something. So just gotta roll with the punches.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm doing similar. I've got a Gandring set up with a whole heap of Ferocious Eyes for high crit. But Gandring gives you, I don't even remember, it's something like 11% ward. It's so low. You're running there with nothing.
Interesting, Gandring. Yeah. Two-hander weapon. Maybe we'll see some two-hander buffs in the future. We're not going to talk about it now, but
Odie had teased something, so hopefully at some point, and that will make them more usable.
So we love these crit changes. Really recommend trying to play about. I think in the mid game you can pick up some 1% armor crit jewels, and I reckon if you can get like maybe 10 of them in your armor during the mid game, that's quite a significant increase on your base crit. So it can be could be quite noticeable.
Yeah, so there's the Tyrrell feathers are the 1%ers, right? Is there anything before Morrigan Eyes, which are weapon,
for weapon
and Ashen Phoenix ones?
For weapon, that's a good question. I don't think so off the top of my head.
Because Pale Eyes have 1% in them. Well, actually, all of Kerberos's ones.
Yeah,
is it Kerberos?
Not everyone. Yeah, come back in February for them. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be interesting. I think like more of the weapons have crit on them now recently, changing the two-handers and all that sort of stuff. So there might be a way to build it. Gobi out here saying that Gandring's awesome because Gobi's recently Godforged a Gandring and it looks beautiful. I reckon it's cool to play around with this stuff, man, for sure. I think definitely. It's super fun. Super fun.
Ashen, more Ashen Phoenixes on the menu.
I hit one yesterday for 30k, right? And got one item, and it was an Ashen Pinion.
Oh, I love that. I think I've got two pinions from just tagging, and it's so good.
Oh, that's a low chance. That's absolutely brilliant, though. Exciting. Yeah. Do you want to move on to the next topic? We're talking longer than we probably intended to again.
I think got carried away with crit, so let's
exciting stuff.
So we'll talk about the current month's event then, I guess. Avalon. Lots of Avalon themed stuff going on.
Man. There's a lot in this event, isn't there?
I mean, like, how many times are we going to go around Avalon? So what should we talk about first? There's 6 new pets, which I wasn't bloody expecting. I was expecting maybe 1 or 2, but then I opened it up in the morning and people are saying, right, you need to get, there's 6 event pets. I'm like, what the? Hold on.
It says 6.
Pretty mental. luckily, Fuximus had 5 of them ready to go day one for people to pick up. So I think, he was the main man on the Orna Legends Discord on the first day. That was super cool. But the good thing is, quite a few of them are lower tiers, so you can just buy them with gold.
And they're good.
And they're pretty good.
Yeah. Man, so I didn't realize it was 6. I thought it was 5. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these, Shabbash. I'm hoping that you have these in front of you and you can pronounce them.
I'm opening them up now. Let's start from the top then. Great Pegasus. Tier 10 pet. Possible replacement for the Pale Dragon in terms of like a turtle build. With
definitely I'd say.
Yeah, I think probably definitely. Blessed Shield. Unless you randomly played Inquisitor during the mid game, you might not have realized this skill exists, but Blessed Shield, it gives you temp, double defense and resistance up, right?
Yes.
Which is pretty
absurd.
Crazy.
Dude, I have played Inquisitor deliberately for Blessed Shield.
Right.
I used to play Inquisitor for Gauntlets with Deity for a little bit because of the crit chance as well. It had this other skill in there.
Inquest.
What's it called?
Inquest.
Yeah. Oh god, of course, Inquisitor. Inquest.
Is that when you were on your Psycho crit?
Nah, this is like ages ago. This is a while ago. I used to try and make it so that the attack button would actually crit a fair bit. So I would use that as my primary thing. But what I found was awesome about running Deity Inquisitor is that it was absolutely brilliant for war defenses because people expect Golem's Fortitude and they expect Barrier. But then when they see Blessed Shield come up and you've got a Pale Dragon on that gives you the temporary defense as well, it's just brutal. Good luck killing a deity with all of those defenses up at the same time. So I used to randomly run that, and I'd imagine that it would have made a few people rage, but it won me a few war defenses actually.
No, that's
so
awesome.
Blessed Shield is actually brilliant.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think this is definitely, if you're looking at specifically territory defense, slowing people down as much as possible. Once you get to tier 10, if you can pick this pet up this month, that's gonna big upgrade from Pale Dragon. Next one
cleanse
we're looking
as
at
well. Yeah, sorry, it has cleanse as well.
Oh yeah,
which massive.
Pretty good as well if you're not running Steadfast. Next pet, Gladys Sant. This is a super cool pet. It looks like a wee coral varmint, so definitely slosh based. Yeah, we got to stop with the slosh stuff. But it has sidesteps, so it's obviously a slosh based pet. This is a tier 9 pet, right? I think, and I've seen people like this with Beowulf, and surely then with Bahamut as well. Couple of Wyvern Speed 3 sidesteps as buffs, and then you've got Jump, which is not most people will see it on Heimdall. Pretty heavy attack, 2-turn attack, but also got Quad Cut as well, which is a super nice multi-hit skill. Yeah,
so Jump doesn't take 2 turns on the pet right? It just goes straight away, but it gives you ward.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge damaging skill, and it gives you ward. Like it's cool. This is actually a really good pet for pet classes if you can get that spell chance higher. So you know how everyone in tier 9 runs Crimson Gazer.
Yeah.
I would probably argue that, or Nidhogg, that this might actually be on par with those, maybe even better because it's not elemented. So its attack would get through potentially more things.
Great point.
Yeah. Cool pet.
Next one we got Hengrion.
It's the horse, yeah?
One of the horses, yeah. The horse. This is a super cool pet.
Really good.
Dangy, do you know what tier this pet is, by the way? It doesn't tell me on the follower screen. for some reason.
Tier 8.
Tier 8. So this is possibly like an upgraded warhorse. And it's kind of a mix of warhorse and pale dragon, which is super cool. I don't know if if Hengrian is some kind of mythical being in kind of real world mythology or something like that, but whatever the case, it's basically taken two super amazing spells from the both warhorse and pale dragon, put them together on one pet. What was going on here?
So Hengroen is the stallion owned by King Arthur, apparently. So there you go. But
there's the Avalon. Of course, it's the Avalon theme. There it is.
Yeah, this pet is bonkers in tier 8. That's a good pet,
especially if you're a melee
750. Class. Sorry.
Especially if you are a melee class playing an attack build.
Oh yeah. For your raiding, that's just, you wouldn't use Warhorse or Pale Dragon if you had Hengrian.
No, just use this.
Yeah.
You got the best of both worlds, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe pound for pound, this is surely up there with like one of the best pets in the game.
You'd have to think so.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're tier 8 or if you're tier 7 and you're close to tier 8, then I really recommend trying to pick one of these up this month. Next, we've got, I think Carmen is next in line. We can talk about Carmen. So for me, Carmen, this is perhaps not the best pet this month. It's kind of like a similar theme to Greater Yokai from the pet front. You know, a lot of players they come up against Carmen and they all of a sudden they're frozen, they're paralyzed. And whatnot, and it's kind of the exact same idea. I think it's probably almost the exact same skills that the actual boss has. But for me, this is like a worse Greater Yokai because she's missing out on stun and sleep. So it's more about the elemental skills, the elemental status ailment skills here with a little bit of damage. Okay, it can do damage for you as well, but when you take Greater Yokai, you know what you're getting. You're not taking Greater Yokai to do damage. Don't know if you've got any more.
The other thing about Carmen is specifically the skill order, because that affects pets so heavily. I think that when I looked at it initially, even with a debuff chance of 20% and that many debuffs, she will be debuffing every turn.
Yeah.
Well, most turns. Her first debuff on the list is Burn, and the second one is Decay. And the way that the pet skill choice order goes, it will try to use Burn most out of all of those skills. Decay the second most. Freeze is third on the list. So Greater Yokai has Freeze much higher. So the priority order, I don't know that this is better than Greater Yokai. The interesting tweak or element in there is that it's got spells that can hit hard as well.
Yeah. It's interesting. Not bad.
Oddly enough, probably more interesting for tier 10s than it is tier 7s.
Maybe. I like Greater Yokai because he's part of my brand. But yeah. Next one.
Yeah.
The dog. The black dog. This is like a Cerberus themed. Well, it's a Cerberus sprite. Wilgie.
I wasn't gonna try with any of these. This is it tier 5? Is it this one?
I thought you had the tiers up there, Dangy, but this is I like this because it uses flash. Flash is like a better version of Smoke Bomb. You can actually buy flash from Arcanists, and it actually does damage, but unlike Smoke Bomb. But also unlike Smoke Bomb, if you actually hit, as long as your opponent is not immune to blind, it will always blind them.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting one because it's usually better for things like going against like a Beowulf, specifically because you want to blind them so that their pet doesn't hurt you.
And
Flash
Bahamut's, yeah.
actually is a skill, though, that its hit chance is determined by things like Dexterity and Mystic Feather, because you're damaging them at the same time. So Smoke Bomb in some instances can actually be more useful if you're going against something with really high dexterity that you won't hit them. But Flash is my preference for, if I go into Colosseums, I take Flash instead of Smoke Bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's got some
cool skills.
Yeah, Onslaught, super sweet skill, and some arcane themed skills there. Yeah, I like this pet as well. Good option. You can buy it with gold, so another reason another reason why you can start. Yeah, if you're kind of slightly newer player going through the game, you can pick some of these lower tier pets up for gold. These lower tier event pets up for gold, you won't need to wait for another year to pick them up. So that's super cool. Really like that one.
So what's really interesting with that one as well, Shabbash, for our lower tiered listeners, is that this pet can one-shot basically everything if you're a pet class. If you're playing this pet, I think it's tier 6, but I can't find the tier. It's not on the Orna guide currently, I don't think. But anyway, you can run this even as a Dragon Knight in tier 7. I've shown a build previously using Orthrus. You can do that with this pet, and this pet will decimate the majority of the game for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool low tier pet.
If you don't have Orns, if you get to tier 7 and you want to play a pet class and you don't have the Orns for Dragon Knight yet, you can actually buy Beastmaster spec, which you kind of need for a pet class. You need both Beastmaster or Tamer and the Valhallian passive class, and then you can actually go back to Dragoon. If you picked up Dragoon,
yes,
and it will work just as well. You will have less. Your actual character will be less powerful. You have less health, less stats, but your pet will still do the damage.
For sure.
If you don't have Dragoon, you can go back to Paladin, and you will probably do way more damage than you were doing before. So there you go.
Yeah,
Paladin
Beastmaster. This pet will
Beastmaster.
decimate stuff.
That's if you don't have the Orns for Dragon Knight. Yeah, I would always recommend going for Dragon Knight. All right, finally, let's touch on the baby horse, Lamrai. This is like a mini Great Pegasus. Smite.
So I don't have this pet. I think that I've missed a pet altogether. So that must be a relatively low tier one.
It's a low tier one, yeah.
It's tier 1. That's cool.
It's not tier 1, is it?
Oh, I thought you just said tier 1. That's why I laughed. You didn't say tier 1. Do you know what tier it is?
No, I don't know, unfortunately. For some reason, again, it's in the follower page, it doesn't tell you what tier your pet is. It just tells you it's level 250 for me. But it's it's got Smite, which is a hard-hitting holy spell, Bless Shield, which we talked about earlier, and Cleanse. So,
really,
possible replacement for the Wisp there in the early game. Pick one up for gold, have a play around with it.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, tier 6. Thanks, Gobi.
Thanks.
That's actually a fantastic pet. If you don't have Pale Dragon, and this is about for gold, is it Blessed Shield? Gold, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, for anyone listening, there's I don't want to plug this all the time. Normally do it once an episode, but if you pop into the Orna Legends Discord, there's normally quite a few people sharing the event pets, so you can pick one up fairly easily. Also, the common most wanted pets, Pale Dragon, etc. So you can. So Dangy, I recommend you pop in once you've had your morning brew, your can there, and pick one of these bad boys up. But so super cool. New pets, talked a lot about them, probably gave them a bit too much time. Never mind. It's getting super late here, so let's move on to the raids. Excuse me. So last year we had Cade and the Almighty Balin as event world raids. Not world raids, as event raids. Well, I don't think world raids were in the game. Well, yeah, maybe they were. Anyway, this year we get them back, and we also get the Arisen version. So we've got tier 9 Cade and a tier 10 Balin, whatever you want to pronounce it. And these are, and we also have the World Raid Finesse as well, which is kind of like to me, it's like the NPC Blade Master. Well, I think he is a Blade Master. Mix of everything. All his weapons there are pretty random weapons, but pretty interesting weapons, which you don't really see elsewhere in the game. So, what do you reckon, Danny? This is actually a pretty cool event. I think for almost all kind of, from the mid tier, Cade is what, tier 5 raid, all the way up to tier 10, all the way up to the end game. But something in it for everyone, I think.
This is an all tiers event for sure, because you've got Gadget Gizmo, Arch Gizmo in there for everyone who's been missing events where they need to get those items. That's, we often forget that that's one of the most sought after things, is either Ring of Day, Arch Gadget, that sort of thing. So for lower tier guys, that was the very first thing I did when this event launched for our sister kingdom, is I went and put a ping to everyone to say, make sure you go get those items.
Yep.
Really big deal. So those lower tier raids are good. There's some adornments in there as well, which are good. It's fantastic for the low tier guys. The items in the raids themselves are actually decent for their tier, so that's good. And then the high tier, there's some really cool stuff. So in Cade's case, we've got Arisen versions of Arch Gadget and Arch Gizmo.
Yeah.
And these things they're now going to trump the almighty Ring of Day, one of the most used accessories of all time, because we've got defense and resistance, and the prevention against temporary attack, temporary defense down 3. Is that right? Is that the additional thing that's in there? But it's definitely got defense and resistance, which is insane. High defense and resistance as well for an accessory. If you get an ornate, you're looking at 200 of each, or close to.
Yeah, I think 180 is the max, which is pretty high. Very high. In fact, the highest defensive stats you can get on an accessory. So.
Yeah, well, previously it was something around the 10 and 20 range, wasn't it? So that's a really big deal.
No, you could get slightly higher.
Okay, yeah. But then also for the Cade event, you've got the adornments. So there was 2% there's 2% adornments that have attack and magic on it, so they're always welcome. Or if you get superior plus, 2% ward adornments. So they're always welcome. And then, dude, Arisen Balin.
Yeah.
Everyone's been waiting for Serta, right? Trying to save their Kingdom Orns for Serta.
My God, yeah.
And then the month before Serta comes, oofed. What are you guys doing? Are you smashing this guy?
Nah, we're not smashing it. We're kind of chilling. To be honest, we're chilling. We've been chilling since Kerberos, really. Quite a few of our guys have already been really lucky and picked up some, specifically the leggings. I mean, the leggings are.
That's what you want.
The leggings are, I think, generally best in slot for Gilgamesh in terms of ward, highest ward.
Yeah.
Okay, you have your lovely Ashen Phoenix Greaves, but even with the HP there, I think these leggings give it a run for the money.
It's really interesting because I think that I'm on an island right now. I've plugged in the numbers for the math, and the Arisen leggings definitely do give you the highest number for ward, marginally. So if you took it 200% of each, the Phoenix and the Arisen Avalon Night leggings, or Arisen Avalon leggings, sorry. Yeah. The Avalon ones give you marginally higher ward, but they don't give you Steadfast Light. They don't give you 8 slots to play with. They give you 7. And they don't give you, HP, which for Arena is really useful. So
That's a good point.
I would say that this is a good thing though, because we've carried on, or I say we as a collective, not necessarily yourself, Shabbash, but I know I have. We've carried on that the world raid bosses, due to rarity, should have the objective best gear. So I'm okay with it not taking over in all aspects. That said, the legs, phenomenal. Try to get them if you don't have any better than your abyssal legs right now. Sure. They are warrior only, so that's a bit rough for some of the people who are playing mage. This month isn't that exciting for them. But for warriors and for Baos, I would aim for both the legs and the hat. The hat is actually good. I got a 189 yesterday, Shabbash. And the defense and resistance, collectively, the resistance is higher than my Ashen Phoenix hat, which is really good. And the ward at Demon Forge goes up to, if I put 2% gems in it, goes up to 51% on a 189% hat. So this thing is pretty gaudy. No HP or mana once again. Pretty
good. I mean, not everyone's going to have a decently quality Old Northern Crown. So yeah, good area to get ward.
Yeah.
It's just another way to get a good ward helm.
For sure.
Give you more options, get a few more tags in. The chest as well. I mean, the chest, yeah. The thing with Search's chest is it can be worn by every class, so you've got that increased flexibility. But if you were by chance to pick up a really high chest piece this month, then if you didn't have one previously, you'd be kind of, well, I think you'd be mad not to level that up, because you got to take what you can get in this game, especially on the gear.
Yeah, you got to take what you can get is the best way to put it, because there's no guarantee you'll get a Serta chest next month. Yeah. If Serta comes back, we're just guessing that he will. But yeah, there's no guarantee that you'll get that next month. So I would definitely still level it up if you get one. I wouldn't break your back trying to get specifically the chest piece, because there is the Fey Yeti coat that exists as well, which you can get at all times. There's the Ashen Phoenix one, which you can get at all times. Hard, but you can still get them. If there's any sort of internal debates going on in the kingdom where you're arguing the side of I need this chest versus the whole kingdom saying we want to save for Serta, don't break relationships over it. I don't reckon. If Serta's coming back next month, you might pick up a better chest piece.
I won't comment further on that, but yeah. I mean, so you're saving your summoning scrolls as well. You're not going after finesse because, well, firstly, I think the Arisen, Balin and Cade are in the drop pool for summoning scrolls this month.
Yes.
But I mean, finesse. Like, honestly, if I was not saving my scrolls, I'd probably pop a few to try and get some of the gear, because it's like crazy high stats on just not the most expected item types, which is super interesting. I mean, why not? Some people want to make crazy builds.
Well, yeah, I saw the EP and I was like excited because it's a sword and it had magic on it. I'm like, oh, Gilgamage, let's go. But you can't use it with melee users. It's a magic users only item. So I wasn't overly excited for that, as I'm not playing magic currently. The greatsword and the katana, the greatsword and the shodel. I'm trying to think which, is it the shodel that's got the ward on it? Oh no, the katana and the shodel both have ward. There you go. They're actually pretty cool for Realm.
Yeah.
Like, having that ward is actually kind of interesting, because there's not other ward weapons outside of, is it Realm Katana from
Apollyon?
From Apollyon.
Yeah, I don't think so, unless you go Realm Spikes, which is
got a small amount. Yeah, it's got not enough to make up for the shield loss. Didn't quite hear then, mate. I don't know whether it was just muted or what. Yeah. I think these weapons are really interesting. The greatsword has, what is it? It has like 8 slots at base.
Pretty solid, yeah. Pump
So,
the numbers up.
I want to go for the Shabbash. I've got this like internal thing that tells me now to hold on to your scrolls just in case there's a god tier item that comes, because the lottery involved in world raid bossing is it's pretty crazy, right? So you need to get the boss that you want specifically. You talked about the fact that there's 2 other bosses included in the pool for this, so the world raid pool's diluted a fair bit. To get specifically finesse will take a lot of scrolls. And then on top of that, we know how brutal RNG is in this game.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, I'm like, oh, that greatsword is actually really cool. And having that many slots has fantastic utility. But what are the chances I get that thing?
Yeah, super
really,
low.
What are they?
Yeah. I'm the same. Like, maybe if it was just finesse in the summoning pool this month, I might have considered it, but yeah, personally I'm gonna save for something else.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm doing. So I mean, if summoning scrolls suddenly started becoming easier to come by, it might make me more inclined to grind them out and go for world raid bosses each month. But if they are at their current rate, like for me, I play a decent amount compared to other people, and I'm not accruing that many a day. Like if I go for a hard day, I might get like 5 scrolls in a day. So I think I won't be burning them this month, but it's cool. Like it's not a bad event boss at all by any means, and I've seen a couple of ornates that look really awesome.
Yeah, it looks sick. Yeah,
I'm just trying to play the odds here a little bit.
Yeah, if you get your hands on them, and would love to see somebody make a pretty wacky build out of these. For sure. Out of some of these finesse weapons, but overall, this is quite a warrior themed event, which is warrior. Yeah, why not? I think in the past, a lot of people had kind of complained that the warrior archetype was kind of getting a little bit shafted on the event raid front. Wasn't getting too many specific pieces of gear, but with after Ferocious. Well, after the Ceres event had a couple of warrior pieces, and this event as well has some serious warrior pieces, not only in the mid game but also in the end of the end game as well. So good quality event. You can also get a bunch of hardened steel this month as well for starter next month, assuming starter comes back. I think, good event here, and some pretty cool sprites as well. I've seen a few Cades in the arena.
I like the sprites for sure. I reckon this whole event is just, there's so much content in it. Holy cow. 5 bosses, 5 total raid bosses, and what was it you said?
6 pets.
Was there 6 pets?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Jeez. Odie working overtime.
I think he's still on the Ornaversary shift. Yeah.
Yeah. Far out. That's good stuff, man. I like it.
Yeah. Let's, Dangy, what do you reckon we finish up on the potential this roadmap item we've got down? Talking about Odie working overtime. We've got he's managed to cross off quite a few things which was on his roadmap. Oregon Town buildings, herbalist and stuff like that, which is super cool. One thing that was added to the roadmap, I think probably after those that last major end of April update, I believe, is themed gauntlets. So you've got a little bit of a Discord mod eye on this from a suggestion point of view, I believe.
Yeah, so there was actually a suggestion that got a decent amount of upvotes versus downvotes in the way that it got no downvotes. And at the time I snipped this was 41 upvotes. It's probably higher now. Was for themed gauntlets. It was specifically around getting different themed keys as well. So you might need fire keys to open a fire gauntlet or water keys to open a water gauntlet.
Yeah.
So the suggestion itself was to make it so that the monsters can drop. Like any monsters have a rare chance to drop these themed keys.
Yeah.
That might not be how themed gauntlets work. They might just be straight up gauntlet keys and they just happen to be a certain theme. So you go to the water in the world and there's like suddenly there's a blue gauntlet sitting right near the water, or you go to the forest and there's a green one, or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but God, that's exciting. That's cool to me. Like a way to spice up the gauntlet world is really interesting.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, exactly the same. I haven't thought about how it's going to work, but I'd imagine, being able to target specific types of mobs, specific types of bosses, potentially some new bosses, bosses or new mobs, and following on from that, obviously specific types of gear as well. So super cool. At this time of night, Dangy, I'm a bit beyond having extra things, predictions on what it can be. I'm just excited.
I think that's fine, mate. You stayed up pretty late. The time zones just don't work, do they? They're too brutal. It's a bit tough. Maybe we swap the shift next time, and you can have the morning one to be more awake.
I'll take the morning shift. I know you like the night shift. So it's after these clocks went forward or went backwards or both. You kind of go down.
Yeah, both went the wrong direction. We got further away from each other.
Anyway, I was super excited after you put this up on the roadmap straight away. I think we've got, here's something I noticed, Dang. I don't know if you noticed, but actually someone in my kingdom noticed this in the arena. But basically at tier 10 in the arena, that when you go in the arena, you see how many people are available. Opponents available. So this was sitting at around 2,600, I think, last week for tier 10, and also tier 11 are in the same pool as tier 10. That's right. This suddenly dropped to like just over 1,000. So like I'm looking at it right now. I've got 1,059 opponents available for me to fight in the arena. Let me just see who I get. By the way, first up, Alita. Don't know who that is. Volley 3 should take care of that guy. I reckon there's something on the roadmap which I reckon this could be attached to, and that is live PvP. Potentially this could be like 1,000 people online right now. I don't know if you noticed this or get any thoughts on this. Evil Banana. Just got Evil Banana.
That got pointed out to me only yesterday, so probably about maybe 11 hours ago, something like that. And I think it was Fuximus had pointed it out. He said, "Oh, what? There's only 1,000 people in Arena now. What's going on?" And I didn't know what it would be, but then I think both him and Evil Banana, had made the guess that potentially it's to tie into that live PvP, which is on the roadmap under coming soon.
Yeah.
So maybe it is that you're going to fight people that are online, which would make sense if it's live PvP. So you're only ever fighting a pool that's online, which is kind of interesting how that's going to tie into the non-live PvP element, because it'd be a little bit bad if you can't fight me anymore because we sleep at different times.
Yeah, don't know what to say to that.
We'll see what happens.
Either that or he's banned quite a lot of people.
Yeah, he can't have banned 1,000 T10s. You wouldn't have thought, but
all I know is I'm still playing.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
Sorry.
This, kind of a random thought there, going off the themed dungeons. But what do you reckon, Danny? Should we wrap it up there? a nice
I think it's far too late for you to stay up much later, my friend. I think it's time for you to hit the sack. It's probably you're keeping the band next door awake at this point in time. They're about to knock on your door and say, "Keep down the noise."
I think Gobi's about to knock on my door as well. He's still up. Or he's about to wake up, probably. Gobi, we got to thank you for tuning in, and obviously everyone else for tuning in live.
Yeah.
Also, everybody who is listening to this on either Spotify or online or watching on YouTube after the fact. We really appreciate everyone's support. We would apologize for the lack of this podcast, but the truth is, we just do it when we can. Something extra on the side, and if there's a massive update, be sure Dangy, myself, and maybe someone else will be on chat about it. Yeah. But in terms of like regular scheduling, at the moment, not something we can do. We just let people know as much as we can in advance. Yeah. Still super fun to catch up with you, Dangy. Hope you enjoyed it.
Always is, mate. Always is. Always gets me nice and hyped for the game. I'm about to do my typical thing when I get off the podcast, which is now go and smash the game and ignore the family for a little bit because I'm a bit too excited about Orna again.
You know what? I get the same. I get a similar feeling. Like obviously, I don't go and smash my baby boy around the flat, but I do get excited about going back to play the game. I get the same feeling.
Yeah, I'm being serious with that. I always do. If I do this podcast, I will get that amped to just go and chase the gear again. So it's really exciting, and hopefully, I have heard other people say that it gets them a little bit excited. So yeah, we'll get to this. Like you said, we'll get to this again when we can. We'll try and get it somewhat regular at some point in time, but we do have real lives, and we need to get another guest on at some point.
Absolutely.
Soon. So yeah, no, definitely appreciated it, mate. Thanks so much.
Man, have a great day. Everyone listening, have a great day as well. And I'm gonna hit the sack. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Dangy, we'll catch you next time.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Ciao.